If you have studied sales techniques even a little, you have probably heard of spin selling. But what is it and how does it work? This video is for those who find it very difficult to read a 300-page book but have an itch for sales and need them. So, Neil Rackham, the author of the method, analyzed 35,000 client meetings conducted by 10,000 salespeople in 23 countries around the world. This is what is written in Wikipedia about the founder of the method. Neil Rackham says that the methods of closing the deal, presenting benefits, handling objections, and open questions. These are not effective techniques in his view. Therefore, in this video, we will figure out what works and what doesn't. I will also provide examples from real life and actual cases. I will not just share my thoughts, I also have my own statistics. Personally, over the last 19 years, I have made more than 100,000 calls, analyzed more than 10,000 calls and correspondences. Regarding the number of reviews and audits, it's just 10 calls or messages per day, 200 per month, 2,000 per year, 10,000 in the last 5 years. Yes, I do this every day, and I did it yesterday too. My statistics are also accumulated from the experience of my own businesses back when I was not yet a trainer. And this statistic dates back to when my friends and entrepreneurs started reaching out to me for help in increasing their sales. Because I make calls personally every day, you can practice with me and test spin selling or another method during the first meeting. Neil Rackham says, and you may have heard this, that there are 4 types of questions. First, situational. Second, problem. Third, implication. Fourth, need payoff questions. In this video, I will show you how to ask such questions so that the client wants to respond and comes to the conclusion, yes, I want this. You will hear examples and exact phrases. This video contains specific formulas. This is available in all paid courses. I will also show you a 5th type of question that additionally helps to increase conversion. So be attentive and watch until the end. The first type is the situational question. This is about gathering data on the client's situation, identifying facts. For example, how many orders do you have each day? Or which advertising channels are working for you? What is your budget? It is important to know, but if the client's need is not formed, if there is not enough trust, you will receive an abstract or superficial answer from the client to these questions. Often, the sales department does not know what they need to know about the client because the client does not engage. Example, one of the Ukrainian marketing agencies approached me. I conducted an audit and found that the previous consultant had included exactly these types of questions in the script. When I listened to the calls, it turned out that these questions are asked to clients in one of 4 cases. But the owner called the managers or the consultant, or I don't know what the problem is. And then I asked the owner a question. And what do you think? Why do people sometimes not ask questions even though they know they should? He said, it because the manager is not confident in himself or the client does not trust him. I say, that's correct. And where in the script, I ask, where in the script is the building of trust and the reasons why it is interesting to answer such questions? The owner looked at the script and said, well, yes, this is missing. He then explained how much money they lose because managers ask the right questions, but not all clients understand why it is interesting to respond. And the trap lies in the fact that sometimes owners and managers do not analyze the question formulas, these words, and do not know the statistics of the responses to the questions. However, they calculate the sales funnel and know that after making an offer, for example, every 8th person buys, but what if every 2nd person bought? Then we would increase the sales volume by 4 times. To increase this conversion, we together in the moment supplemented the script with the following. We wrote a phrase that makes the client interested in answering the question. That is, the situational question should contain a reason. And the phrase goes like this. Imagine you are the client, and I ask you, before I make you an offer, before I list all the benefits of why this solution is effective, may I ask you a few questions, okay? From experience, I can say that this question is almost always answered positively. So write down this question right now. We also upgraded the situational questions to make them more engaging. For example, instead of asking which advertising channels we are already using, we recorded this question. Imagine you are a potential client of a marketing agency. As a salesperson, I am asking you, yes, once again. Imagine you are the client, I am asking. In order to find a solution for you on how to increase the return on investment of your advertising expenses for your business, please tell me which advertising channels are working for you. Is it easier to answer such a question? So, yes, because there are benefits, there is value, or there are possible response options. We also worked with the agency on problem questions, which were also created using the spin selling model earlier. It is always desirable to know the client's existing problem, otherwise, no problem, no money. Business is a system of solving other people's problems in exchange for money. Therefore, it is very important to ask problem questions. We looked at the script and saw another problematic question. It sounded like this. What exactly is not working in setting up ads on Google? In other words, a direct question. I listened to the calls and noticed that the client could not clearly answer the questions. Therefore, the manager had to proceed without getting a response. So I asked the following questions and received not very high quality answers. Therefore, in most cases, I didn't know how to close the deal. And what did we do? We replaced problem questions with questions that are easy to answer. For example, imagine that you are a client and I, as a manager of an advertising agency, am asking you, some of our clients did not have analytics, or it showed incorrect data, or it had an inconvenient format. Please tell me, how is your analytics? So, you already understand what specific difficulties and problems are being discussed. Help your client answer your question. Because he is a client, he is not as professional as you are. Therefore, the question must contain part of the answer. That is, you name the scope of questions and list 2 to 3 possible options. It's so simple, you knew this, but listen to your calls and check. This could be causing you to miss out on a lot of money. The third type of questions in spin selling are implication questions. They are needed for the client to realize the positive consequences of implementing a solution or the negative consequences if nothing is done. Or in other words, what is the outcome of the outcome? What is the result of the implementation? What is the ultimate benefit and how is it measured? To find this out, you need these implication questions. To ask such questions, you need to understand the market and the product more deeply than the client, and sometimes as well as an engineer. For example, one agricultural company I worked with, I conducted an audit of the managers, a team of about 30 sales managers across the country, and it turned out that the one who sells the most is the one who knows the product and the market best. Have you managed to combine sales technology with expert product knowledge? If you want to test yourself, find my Telegram in the description under the video. Send your script or call recordings there. I will help implement implication questions, which are one of the most difficult types of questions. I will share another example of implication questions refined through real experience from one of the cases. Another one of my clients is an agricultural company that sells Ukrainian-made farming equipment. They approached me with the following request: how to make the client realize why it is important to buy new equipment rather than purchasing something that has already been used by someone else. I conducted a diagnosis and found that the situational question is asked, okay, but the implication one is not. Instead, they try to explain to the client the consequences of purchasing old equipment, rather than making the client realize these consequences on their own, so that the client does not think they are being pushed something unnecessary. Together with the owner, we listened to the calls, and I heard that the manager, who has a book on spin selling on their desk, instead of asking implication questions, tries to explain the negative consequences to the client. If you want to hear how spin selling can work in your business, I can personally make live calls to your clients. Invite me. your best coach, your best salesperson. I am ready for a battle. You will be able to check everything in 1 or 2 hours instead of reading books for months or waiting for managers to learn. Want to test the method or the trainer? Give them a phone number and say, call me. If you want to know if I have experience in your niche, ask me on personal, Telegram or Instagram, and I will respond quickly. And the fourth type of questions in the spin selling method are need payoff questions or value questions. I will provide 2 examples from this book. So listen carefully and we will analyze them together. So the first question is this: why is it important to solve this problem? And the second one from the book is, what else can this solution help with? But look closely. The first question is at the causal level, meaning we are going deeper. Why is it important? And the second question is about the ultimate benefit, that is, how can this help? And as you can see, the book has 2 different subtypes within one type, and managers find it difficult to understand. Neil Rackham's idea is to focus the client on solving the problem. But here, I don't quite agree with the author of Spin Selling. Personally, I believe that the reason why the client is interested in solving something is always more important than the solution itself. Understand, once again, the reason for the need is more important than the need itself. You felt that it is important for the client to understand not what they want to buy, but why exactly. If you do not understand why you need to buy a solution, you will not buy it. That is why I always advise focusing the client on their motive rather than on the solution or need. Because if a person is motivated, the decision will happen automatically. If a person is unmotivated, find out the motive that motivates them. What motive is driving you right now? And what motive drives your client? Money, savings. Do you clearly identify the motives or just guess and nudge the client with need payoff questions to make them buy your product? Therefore, I added a 5th type of question, and I tentatively called it motivational questions. In order to identify a person's interest, what excites them, their motive, what stimulates them, what makes them ready to take the next step, even if they already have a contractor or don't need anything. Motivation is not just about go-go, but rather about deepening, studying, and exploring. I believe that a professional salesperson is, first and foremost, a scout and a psychologist, not a speaker or an orator, although these skills are also important. This, of course, does not apply to clients who are ready to place an order even before the meeting or call. This specifically concerns those leads who are not very confident. When we understand that it is not a fact that the client will buy, we focus on how to present better, and we go down the path of mistakes and start talking a lot. And why is it important not to talk too much? Do you know why? If you really want to sell, then make an effort to open up the client. When you talk about something personal, the person might lose interest and start thinking about their own matters. And while your client is thinking, they might not hear everything you are saying to them. How to avoid this? You need to ask interesting questions. But what questions should you ask? There are only 2 types of questions when working with a client: interesting and uninteresting. Let's analyze a few cases. For example, questions. Where are you located? How many leads do you have? How long have you been working? Do you think these questions are appropriate? If so, write it under the video. But for those who agreed on their appropriateness, I have some sad news for you. This is not a question, it is data collection, a survey. So, you ask the right and interesting questions. Find out what losses the client might incur. Measure them, measure the benefits together with the client, and allow the client to independently find these answers during the conversation so that the client realizes it themselves and says, wow, I want this. I guess that many managers, leaders, and founders, possibly even you, are looking for the key to successful sales, and it's here on this channel. so it's surprising if you haven't subscribed yet. And if the itch is really strong, message me in private. We will create an effective sales model together and test it. Live in the moment.